He wants me to connect and
He's got a couple of kids.
do some woodwork.
Okay, we'll start the meeting as we always do with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge of Allegiance to the flag
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay. Item 1 on the agenda, as always, is public comments. Any public comments? Anyone take Vic's place? Okay. 0 public comments today. Item 2, acceptance of the February 2nd, 2016 minutes. Move to accept and approve the minutes of February 2nd, 2016 as shown. Do I have a second?
Second.
Mr. Gavin. Anybody have any comments or questions regarding the February 2nd meeting minutes? Okay, all those in favor? Item 2, correspondence items. Item 3, correspondence items A through N. Motion to accept and approve the list of correspondences as shown, A through N. Do we have a second? Any comments or questions? Okay. I don't really comment is congratulations, Kevin, on the appointment to the 495 Metro West Suburban Edge Community Commission. We might have covered that already, but congratulations again, since it's in there.
Thanks.
Anything else on the correspondence? All those in favor? 5. Founders Day update. Got that.
Mr. Chairman, I met with Ms. Fritz as requested by the board a few weeks ago, and working with her, she's doing really most of the work actually, but we solidified some of the plans. She'll be making a formal presentation on the plans probably at our next meeting.
Okay.
She's going to be looking for a proclamation from the board to certify April 19th as Founders Day. That's the day the charter was enacted by the Commonwealth. And then all the other details of the events and activities that she's planning. It looks like it's going to be either the previous weekend or the subsequent weekend. April 19th, so Tuesday night. Happens to be one of your regularly scheduled meetings as well.
So Monday, the 18th is Patriots Day, and Tuesday is the 19th, obviously, but that's the day she wants to do it?
Well, that's the official day that would be declared Founders Day because that's the anniversary date. The celebrations, the day that the proclamation is read may not be that day. That's going to be subject to
I think she had proposed the Saturday before or the Saturday after.
Yeah,
Saturday closest to or something.
she's trying to do a few events, and those would be on the weekends.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with the date, I just don't want to give anybody the opportunity to get uppity about it because it coincides or, conflicts with Patriots Day. Some people are pretty provincial about Patriots Day in this area. So that's all, but whatever.
The town should have thought of that before they passed their charter.
Nothing I can do, but I just don't want to have her do all the work and have somebody rain on her parade unnecessarily because they like people in tricorn hats.
It is part of the reason that she hasn't settled on which weekend yet. She's trying to
Okay.
figure out which way that's going to work best for some of the businesses in town, as well as some of the people that'll be supporting the event in various ways.
All right.
And then the last piece of that is that there's going to be a little bit of money needed to make this work, and as part of her Gold Award, she's supposed to do the fundraising, and there's all sorts of rules about that. And one of the suggestions is that she go through the BEEP program for, it's a modest amount of money, but that is something that the Girl Scouts would approve of as a funding source.
Okay,
That's about it for tonight.
thank you. All right, the consent agenda. It's only one item on the consent agenda, and it's a one-day permit for the, for Crow Park for the Saturday, May 21st, for the second annual Maynard Fire Department versus Maynard Police Department charity softball game to raise money for the Assabet Valley Boys and Girls Club.
There's just Mr. Chair, just a revision to the
agenda as noted, as you read. That's
Yeah,
correct.
right. The agenda has changed from
Correct.
June 4th to May 21st to not conflict with some other town events.
Correct.
Okay, motion to, move to accept and approve the consent item as shown. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any more questions? All those in favor? Okay, can we, jump to number 7?
Yes.
Move to accept and approve cemetery deed 117, transfer as shown. Second? Parents? Any comments? The usual cemetery transfer. All those in favor? Thank you.
I could have stretched out
So we have
Founder's Day thing if you wanted me to.
a few minutes. Is he coming back?
I'm a little stunned that he's not here.
Who?
Mohammed, he was.
Oh.
He stepped away from my office, Chris was in there.
You got 5 minutes.
The guy standing outside.
You want
This kid?
Yeah.
Oh, is he?
standing on the front, maybe?
All right, I'll go
to,
there.
okay.
We can't start till 7:10 anyways.
We can't start, no, we cannot start his thing till 7:10. I think the other thing might take 4 or 5 minutes, so.
Yeah.
I have a question. From Saturday,
Yes.
the phone system, the new phone system, what's the life of it? The lifetime expectancy? Like, is it a guarantee to it, or?
It's really the server hardware that's the issue. The software is usually supported for probably 10 to 12 years.
There's over a 5-year hardware life.
Yeah, we can replace it, as long as they're supporting the software.
Yeah, I think we got 7 out of the last one. About a little over 7 years.
Billy's running the virtual machine.
Yeah, well, the problem with the last one was they bought it at the end of life of the software.
Yeah.
So then when the hardware died, we were out of luck.
That and they dropped all the maintenance contracts associated with it and everything else. Virtual's the way to go.
Whenever you guys are ready, you guys can come sit right up front.
You're referring to us?
Yes,
Thank you.
please.
I apologize for the...
No, we still got a few minutes. You're still on time. Don't worry about it. Hi. We officially can't start till 7:10, so.
Whenever I apologize for being late.
For no reason, so we got 2 minutes.
I mean, it was foggy and
It is foggy out.
6 below 0, then 50 above 0.
I'll throw you off.
I mean, you got your papers? Yeah.
Yeah.
How are we pronouncing that? N-A-R-G-A-S?
Nargis.
Nargis, okay. All right. Pretty much 7:10. So at 7:10, we have a public hearing scheduled for a new all alcohol license for Nargis Inc., doing business as Roasted Peppers. I'm required to read the legal notice, so. Notice is hereby given in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 138, as amended, that a public hearing will be held on Tuesday, February 16th, 2016, at 7:10 p.m. in the Michael J. Gianotis Meeting Room at the Maynard Town Building on the application for a new license on premise for all alcohol as a common victual license for Nargis Inc., doing business as Roasted Peppers, 65 Main Street, Maynard, Massachusetts. Copy of the application is on file in the office of the Selectmen. So, we'll open the hearing, as we usually do. The motion is, yeah, well, let's discussion. We'll have the discussion first. You guys have questions? Anybody, you want to start with the questions? Tim?
No.
Terrence, questions for the applicant?
Just clarification on, this is for an all liquor license?
Yes.
Upgrade
I'm
from,
sorry.
or change from wine and beer? Correct. Any other change to the business that precipitated the ask for this, or
No.
what's, yeah, so the,
He thought, well, he thought he could generate more business with a
Okay.
full liquor license.
no, same setup, no changes inside?
Same number of seats, right?
Yeah, 7 number seat.
How many seats?
40 around.
40?
Yeah.
Okay.
That's all I have, Chris.
David?
So with a full liquor bar, you will have presumably behind the counter, you'll
Yeah.
have some
Yeah, we're
type
gonna
of,
make a counter, yeah, like a bar.
will there be changes to the, do you have to build anything in there or anything? No? Okay, so you have, currently you have, since I frequent, you have the drinks over on the, sitting, looking at the, where the cooking area is, the drinks over to the right side. What's the plan as far as how you display the liquor and where it will be and?
So we can, the small portion we can make like a bar and put, the hard liquor, whatever we're gonna put in there.
Sort of under the television? Is that where you anticipate the liquor will be?
No, in the side.
On the
Where
side.
oven, the door left side,
Yeah,
so we can make like a bar and
okay,
thing everything should.
okay. Otherwise, no other questions?
Okay.
And everybody currently, I assume, is tip certified.
Yes, everybody,
Works
yeah.
there now, so there's no need, no change
No change,
Right.
nothing.
requirement with that. Everybody will be,
Yes,
and there's no difference in the age requirements of somebody who's serving all alcohol versus just beer and wine.
No, sir.
It's the same. I believe it's the same for both.
Yeah.
Okay, that's it.
Okay.
Actually, David just asked the question I was going to ask, so otherwise, I don't think I have anything else.
Okay.
Chris, one last thing I was just thinking about, David's question. Are you gonna have a bartender that's explicitly tasked with actually serving alcohol?
Yes.
Okay, because right now, that's not the case, right? Right now, it's the waitress actually
Yeah,
grabs.
the waiters too now, yeah.
So you walk in off the street and the counter straight ahead is still gonna be where the food and the alcohol served all from one location? Or is he gonna add something to the side?
The side, yes, please.
Okay.
So you're creating a new job?
Hopefully, yeah.
That we'd like to hear.
I'm sure, here's the map. He doesn't show it.
You walk in here, this is the sitting space. So we really don't see, as customers, we don't see back here. We only see up here. I don't know what that X.
I don't know, can you do me, come here for a second, can you come here for a second? I just want to ask you, I'm just not sure where you, so this is the map, right?
Yes, sir.
Where is the alcohol going to be served from on the map, the floor plan?
This is the door, right?
No, the door
I
is.
think the door is
there.
here, the main
Yeah, this is
entrance.
the door.
So we can do this side. This side, so this separate area. And this is gonna be the food and everything in this area.
Okay,
The sitting dining in this area, you can make like cars like a little bar.
So you will be building something in there.
Little bit like this. We can bring the counter, bring the counter and put it there.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So we go through, all liquor licenses, make some, of all liquor?
Yeah. Free up the license they currently have unless they transfer it before. They'd have to turn that back in.
Right, if we get this one, yes.
Yes, please.
And the Battle Road Brewery is all liquor or just beer and wine?
Which one?
Battle Road?
All.
It's all as well?
Yeah.
Okay. Any demand for the rest of the licenses?
We have two clients that are looking at the other one, but neither one is part of the application yet.
Okay. Well, it's a public hearing, so are there any questions or comments from the public in regards to this application for liquor license? Okay, no comments?
They've been under prior ownership of similar, under the same operation name, has been a request for several years to locate a license to that downtown establishment. Again, that was prior ownership, but the request has been there for some years.
Okay.
Will this change your hours at all?
Yeah, a little bit, we can do like at 12 or 1 o'clock in the morning. Because, the liquor start like after 10, 11. So we can do like a Thursday, Friday, and open Sunday too. So we can put more hours in. People can come and drink.
No plans for entertainment?
I don't think so.
He has an entertainment license because he has TVs.
Yeah. So the TV already we have.
Tiniest.
Do I have to apply for
Tiniest group in the world.
entertainment license? Because I got a television.
You still do comedy?
Yeah.
You still do comedy?
They used to in June.
No comedy anymore. You don't do the comedy show?
I don't think so.
We could hold our meetings there.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, thank you. So, I move to accept and approve the new all-alcohol license for Nargis, Inc., doing business as Roasted Peppers, 65 Main Street, Maynard, Mass. Have a second.
Second.
Mr. Gavin. Any further discussion? Any public comments? All those in favor? Done?
Good luck.
Congratulations, good luck.
Thank you very much.
You might have to just check with Becky, you might have to paperwork or something, but, yeah.
Okay.
Wants to see you now, or?
Yeah.
What, I've been waiting to see you open that bag.
Yeah, this is all the papers in here.
All right, so now, we move to close the public hearing
Money in the
at
bank.
7:17. Do we have a second? Terrence seconded. Any comments? All those in favor? Done. Thank you. All right.
I don't. All right, thanks.
Okay. Okay, on to the municipal naming nomination. Elizabeth Duncan is a nominator. So, I guess we're gonna grill you guys a little bit. It's gonna be tough on getting a liquor license, probably. But you're welcome. So I just want to say, having been involved in writing the naming policy, the new naming policy that we just put in effect about a year and a half ago, I appreciate all the information, all the background and everything. It makes it pretty clear. I'm just, quick, how do we get to nominate Soup Campbell? And is that the name that's going to go on all the plaques and everything else? So we're going to go with Stuart T.
Stuart T.
Okay,
I think it should be Stuart T.
Okay.
That was his given name.
all right. So, and you were his neighbor?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And my second mother. We were extended families, so to speak.
You were his neighbor?
Yep.
And her second mother?
No, well, yes. I lived across the street, so I grew up with her kids
Okay.
and, yeah.
All right. So anyways, I do appreciate all the information we have, really, unless anyone else has any questions. Do you guys have any questions for either of these two?
No, it's just, there was a lot of information that you put in there, so that was.
Did you, I know I went on and on and on, but I just couldn't leave anything out.
No, that's fine, it's better to be more thorough. and
How many of you that are there remember soup,
Just by name.
just by name?
I
You're
had-
just knowing a wonderful person.
I had the pleasure of knowing Soup and having worked with him as a selectman, as a member of the finance committee, and, you know, he was a wonderful man, and I remember when he passed away, and, you know, even though I didn't know him well, I was deeply touched by that, and especially, you know, Veterans Day, which it was, and Memorial Day, which were his dates, his days, that he really was, you could see the beaming pride in him on those days. So, you know, it's fitting for him, for the room that we have downstairs with the Maynard vets.
I have fond memories of our late afternoon conversations about his shoebox filing system and what you could find in there. But yeah, I echo Selectman Gavin's comments, and he's a good man.
Yeah, people that were here always knew Soup was in the hall when you could hear him whistling
Yeah.
coming down the hall.
You'd be skipping down the halls.
Yeah, yeah, no, a very, very, very special person. And well-deserving of this.
There's no question, based on the information we have, that I think the five of us would agree with that. So there's this step, and there's a couple other steps, and then we'll be done, and we'll move forward. Did she tell you about all the other steps? There's only a couple, but we'll get to it, so. All right, I move to nominate the new naming of room 101 on the lower level of the Town Hall building room as Mr. Stewart Soup Campbell. Do you have a second?
I'll let David second that, he's a.
I'll second.
Okay. All right. Any further comments or questions? All those in favor? Those in- Okay. Thank you, and thank you again for all the
Just one
information.
correction, it should, I think it's important, and I think his family feels it should be his name, Stewart T. Campbell.
Okay, I didn't type this, I just read it.
Oh, okay, okay.
But it will be, as you requested, in the nomination form, Stewart T. Campbell.
And you can put in parentheses Soup, but that was his name, that was his name.
We will,
Do you know what the T stands for?
I have no idea. Do I want to know?
Yeah, it's,
Okay.
it's, well, with a name like Stewart Tartan Campbell. So he was a Scotchman through and through.
All right. We could put tartan in if you'd like.
No, just the T, because he didn't like that. I didn't like it either.
So the question is, we will have a commemorative plaque in some place. And we will have it Stewart T. Campbell.
Right.
The question is, at some location on the plaque, whether it be underneath whatever, we choose to put for the verbiage underneath his name, on the bottom somewhere in parentheses or something, Soup. So, because, I don't know, maybe some people don't know who Stewart T. is as opposed to Soup.
Right,
As long as that suits your needs. Yes, sir?
yes, yeah.
And the question is, would it be possible to put his rank on there? This is room, I understand that, but I think, knowing my father, he would appreciate his rank being in front of him.
We can
As a military.
We can accommodate that. I think most of the pictures and plaques have ranks on them anyway,
They do, yeah.
downstairs. So, yeah, we can accommodate that.
Thank you.
He
you.
was Army, correct?
So,
Yes.
Yeah.
so the form, it says the nominee information, name of the nominee, Stewart T. Campbell, Chief Warrant Officer, retired. But we would just put Chief Warrant Officer.
You could do CWO, is what,
Yeah.
is how it's,
Listen, we've already got in trouble this week for actions.
Okay.
well, his family would object, but.
So before we do anything, once we vote officially, and at some point, we'll have to find out what the cost is, and we'll have to, appropriate that from some, a local budget. And then we will, before we do it, you guys will have, the last opportunity to thumbs up it and tell us it's good or it's bad, and then we'll move forward.
I'm sure it's going to be wonderful.
And hopefully they'll be here in time for our bicentennial celebration, or our upcoming celebration, Founder's Day, and
Certainly be there for the
sesquicentennial.
Sequus, which is like 7 years away.
All right, well, this is town hall, so. That's not bad. So we'll get it all done, and before we put it up, we'll come to you guys, and we'll, Becky knows you guys, so we'll.
Oh, yeah.
We'll get the words and everything, we'll just show you what it's gonna say, and we'll go forward, and I think we'll find an appropriate picture or two, and
We have plenty of
move
appropriate
forward.
pictures.
Very much appreciated.
Thank
And
you.
we appreciate it, we appreciate all the information. You would be shocked at the lack of information we get sometimes from people coming and asking for things, so we do
Well,
appreciate
Becky
that.
gave me my marching orders, so
You did a good
It
job, I can
was.
tell you that. This is as
Well,
thorough
when
as
you
we've
want
seen,
it done
so
right, you send it to Betty.
we appreciate it.
well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations to the family.
Thank you, David.
Hi, Betty.
Thanks again.
Thank you.
He was what, 92? 93.
Andrew, you were definitely pronouncing, Kevin, Andrew would definitely have to pronounce number 9.
Sesquicentennial?
Sesquicentennial.
Sasquatch-centennial.
Sesquicentennial.
Sasquatch.
Wasn't she just here?
No, that's,
No, but wasn't the girl just here?
Haley?
Yeah.
No.
No.
Who was the girl that was at the back of the room?
The granddaughter.
That was their mother who was sitting in front of us.
that's the granddaughter.
Kelly's not coming tonight.
No, there was another girl that came in that was at the back. And it's
Oh,
the
was
girl
she?
that presented to us, yeah. She was here with another boy.
Yeah.
She was here with another guy.
I didn't see her.
She was.
I know who that girl was with them, but there was another girl that walked in halfway
She might
through.
be challenging me right now. She's getting the signatures for her nomination papers.
You must have realized we already passed Founder's Day
You can have it.
on the agenda.
You can do it. Okay, so, I guess we're on to number 9, the Maynard Sesquicentennial Celebration Planning. I don't know, I saw Haley here, but apparently she went out again.
It's
Hi,
okay.
Jack.
It's a different item.
Hi, folks.
Hello.
Of the 4 signatories to the letter you received, we do have a representative from the Cultural Council. The other 2 folks are working tonight, so I'm representing the group. The letter, I think, is really pretty self-explanatory, but quick summary, what we're really trying to do is raise awareness that the anniversary is coming, and try to get a planning or steering process in place so that at the point in time when money is required, there's some sense of what the town would like to do in order to shape the amount of funding that is requested. And that's based in part on what was done for the centennial. It was funded over 2 or 3 years rather than one big lump sum kind of thing. And the second part of it was that if for the sesquicentennial there is a desire by the committee to engage national organizations, they don't get scheduled, let's come next week. Sometimes those 3 and 4 years in advance. So basically what we're trying to do is start a process, give it some visibility. And I've talked to Andrew and to Kevin, and some of the comments that sort of immediately come back that I think it's worth mentioning here tonight. If you look out for a period of 3 to 4 years, there's a choice of, celebrate for the entire year, an event a month, have a single event, have multiple events. But if you look out at that time frame, Mill and Main, if we assume success, should be fairly well occupied. 129 Parker Street should have some functioning things going on. The rail trail should be functioning and coming through. We might have, I hope, certainly make progress on whether it's a community center, a fire station. There's a whole bunch of things that really should build a lot of excitement if you look at that period 3 to 4 years out. And what we're trying to do here is just get a process started. The only other comment that comes from the centennial thing, which I think is an expectation that should be set. If you look at the numbers in the letter, the town appropriated over a 3-year period, something like $33,000. The net cost to the town for the centennial celebration turned out to be about $170, and if you look at the actual report, it said, we still have centennial items available for sale. So in effect, you break even, and I think that's a rational expectation to set for a process for a sesquicentennial. So all we're asking for as the 4 groups, and I suspect they've signed it plus others, is can we get an official start, get a committee, steering committee, planning committee together in order to give it some visibility and to begin to move forward.
Can I comment?
Yeah.
First off, I remember, I wasn't living in Maynard, I lived in Acton, but as a child, but I was at the Centennial Parade, and it was huge for a small town like Maynard. I remember exactly where we sat. We sat up down near the church across the way from Serendipity, up on the little hill, and sat there and watched the whole parade, and it was a huge parade. And there were, as Jack said, national organizations that came in. I specifically remember the mummers from Philadelphia that were in that parade with big, huge flower things and everything else. I specifically remember them walking by. But, so yeah, I mean, there's a huge amount of opportunity for, branding Maynard and making Maynard, put Maynard on the map for this. And you look at some of our communities nearby that have had celebrations, and you see the amount of effort that they have put into it, and the parades that they've had, and the celebration that they've had. So it does take planning, and I do agree that we should start the process sooner rather than later, if that's the intent, to have a big celebration.
Should also bring a whole bunch of people into town for that day or for that set of events, so that's why the Economic Development Committee has sponsored it as well.
As always, Jack, I'd like to say thank you for taking the time you do to, think about things in the bigger picture for the town. It's always, with a historical flair as well, too, it's always nice to see you thinking about the future with some vision on the past. So I know there's a lot of work that will be coming down the road in the next 5 years or so, but I appreciate you stepping up and actually putting it on our plate. So I'm very excited just to think about it right now. I remember when I was a kid for the bicentennial, back in 1976, that still sticks out in my mind, exactly where I was, crossing the Charles River on Mount Auburn Street, So those type of big ticket parades, childhood memories. Look at David, remember from 1971, my goodness. So where he was actually sitting in Maynard. And it's amazing that you actually came to Maynard as an Acton resident too, back in 1971, so that's great. But
Maynard was in my blood at a young age.
So I think it's a great deal.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, well,
Someday,
I mean, I certainly don't have any objection to creating a committee or a group. I don't know, probably would have to come up with what the charge of that group is, and then as we get further down the road, work on the funding sources, because that'll become a problem, not a problem, but an issue to deal with. So, do you want to propose to us what you guys who have, come up with this and put the work in already, what you envision that to be, and then we'll just, kind of tweak it and see if we can do that for our next meeting?
Do we know what Sudbury did? They had their, I don't know, their bicentennial or something recently. And
We've reached out, Hudson's doing theirs this year.
Yep.
So we've begun to look at what they're doing. Theirs is quite modest. And so that's a piece of what we need a group to get together. Are we really going to try and do something that is special for us, and so forth and so on? Again, Paul Boothroyd's comment that even at the centennial, the Hudson thing was quite a bit smaller than Maynard. So, yes, we need to come back to you and provide a greater level of detail, but we would at some point like to get a formal committee in place well enough in advance so that there's guidance to the town in terms of this kind of event. This is what it's going to cost. And begin a whole process of soliciting sponsorships and all of the other kind of things that would go along with that.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's great. I appreciate, like Terrence said, I appreciate the effort to date, and we look forward to it and supporting it too.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks, Jack.
Thanks, Jack.
On to budget discussion.
So this was just an ongoing placeholder agenda item. And certainly, as discussion after we're coming off the heels of our Saturday joint budget meeting and further discussion, if, you know, I know the budget, so I don't, nothing's changed since Saturday, but I want to give an opportunity for the board if there's more detail or questions that you had. As I said on Saturday and have been saying, there's a lot of still uncertainty with a number of items, but even on the revenue side, we have a meeting that's scheduled actually this week with our consultant with regards to the first conversation of indirect costs, so we might see some slight adjustment there with regards to the water and sewer indirect costs. It might free up a little bit of the, it might be a little bit more revenue seen from that. Also, and potentially in a couple of other areas. Obviously, the local aid is the biggest piece.
And the school's presentation wasn't quite clear that relative to the number. They're okay with what you've presented as their budgetary numbers, so there's not going to be any, or is that too generous of a thought? I mean,
I think that's a fair, yeah, I think that's fair.
Well,
I think they've received what they've requested in essence, but there's also a little bit of a factor of, I think like 0.68% that's factored into that PEG for additional cable broadcasting, which helps some of those needs. So, yeah, I mean, at this point, I think that they're happy with the budget, knowing that the education budget as a whole for the town has a significant increase.
So you're not aware of any $264,000 letter that we're gonna get?
No.
That we got the last 2 years? We won't get that again?
No, I mean...
2 weeks from the meeting?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, if...
The same letter we got 2 years ago.
If they realize that there's available revenue, I'm sure they probably would ask, but I think...
Okay.
I think from my conversations with Dr. Girardi and, you know, and Pete, they appreciated, you know, the budget that they've been given, so...
Okay.
It's still a higher increase than the town's budget as a whole, to be fair. I mean, it's not what they've asked for. They didn't submit 3 budgets this year, and what they did submit was far more reasonable, but it's still a higher increase than the town's budget, even at the 3.7.
I recognize that, and that's, you know, that's why I'm wondering if, to Chris's point, is the letter, are we anticipating the letter?
I'm honestly, I'm not anticipating any additional requests for 17.
Okay. That would be nice.
But again, we'll continue to modify and discuss as potential changes come up. One area that it may not have been as focused on, again, as in prior fiscal year, I've trying to really build up a true facilities department, which is something that the community absolutely needs. And in order to do that, it has to be funded properly, and that's going to take some time. But one area we were able to do was, I mentioned it briefly, took a little bit of money out of the building and grounds budget for the police department and centralized that with facilities, so that increased the facilities budget, as well as a line item which we've already pretty much expended through December of this year, because it's not funded appropriately to maintain the town facilities that we do need to maintain. Been able to increase that budget as well by offsetting streetlight charges and not really affecting the overall impact of the budget by too much, but certainly that line item has a much larger increase, if you notice that. Other than that, it's, I think it's, everything is in pretty good shape. One area that, obviously the DPW budget has had probably the most significant reductions as far as requests. In some areas, I do think we have to consider the cemetery budget as we look into FY18 and beyond, with covering more of the salaries and some of those costs within the operating budget, because there's an offset with perpetual care and some other areas, but we'll be in good shape as presented for 17, but kind of the bigger picture piece. And then the other piece to that, which I mentioned, was the health insurance costs. We should see some, hopefully preliminary, some idea of our exact percentage increase, probably by the beginning maybe of the third week of March, hopefully. So we'll know where we're at with that, but also the Insurance Advisory Committee is set to meet again this month, and there might be some recommendations that may be coming forward with that before we actually lock in. There might be some possible plan changes that could help reduce the overall premium, which would free up additional revenue. If the board has anything specific at this point beyond that, otherwise I think you'll note that it's a fairly reasonable budget request. And we've known early on what some of our challenges were going to be in 17's budget, and that you can see, particularly the Assabet debt and some of the other areas. There's a slight line item budget for OPEB within the operating budget, which we've talked about in the past, trying to continue to fund a little bit of that. One thing that we didn't do in 17 because of the it's a tough budget year in regards to that and available revenue, is we didn't budget any of the capital outlay within the operating budget. We've talked about it in the past, and I think Andrew mentioned it even on Saturday, as we look at trying to take some of that retired debt and putting it back into the budget as a capital outlay budget to be controlled for capital-related expenses, which is a good practice for us. But given we had to come up with the principal and interest payment for Assabet, there's just no way we could do that this budget year, but I would anticipate future budget years that will be a goal to try to budget for that.
Is there any relief in that regard?
Is there what?
Any relief in the Assabet regard anytime soon?
No, I mean, it does come, it drops again, it drops in FY18, but it's a 25-year payment, so there'll be somewhat of a relief in that the principal and interest payment will be reduced. We'll see some of that come off, and we haven't got the full debt schedule yet. We only got 17 and 18. The payment does drop a bit in 18, but I don't know what the 25-year schedule looks like yet. We're still waiting to get that from Assabet. But yeah, I mean, it's raised within it's appropriated within our operating budget, and it would make good sense as that comes off, because that's essentially debt as well, that be contributed to the capital for our operating budget. Not only our own debt payments, but that as well, because it is debt.
Well, what's the delay in getting you the information? It just seems if you have a mortgage, and there's an amount.
Yeah, I mean, just I haven't asked for it since the last time we met. They only brought out 17 and 18. They were supposed to get me the full debt schedule. So I know our next 2 fiscal years. It's just something that hasn't been a big issue to, reach back out and ask them for it. But we can get that breakdown. But it is a 25-year bond.
Yeah.
So we got the interest rate, I know the interest rate and all of that. I just don't know. I can't tell you today what we're paying in year 5. But I'll get that. It's similar to what we have for our own. I don't know who they have. I think it might be First Southwest, so they can run the whole thing. It's easy enough to get. They just didn't have it with them.
Okay.
Does That's it. The wastewater, water, sewer budgets, we'll have those, and we should be able to look at and review and discuss those at our March 1st meeting, at our next BOS meeting, to go into more detail on those as well, because we haven't had any discussion on the enterprise fund budget. So, and then any changes, obviously, for the operating budget as well.
Okay.
Run out of time. Getting close. We only have a few meetings left.
Okay. Economic development updates?
Yeah. Let's see. Well, no, I didn't put it on there. I thought I did. I'll just rope in there quickly with economic development, just a update on 129 Parker Street before we get in, tie it in with economic development. We're planning, hoping for a March 1st agenda with the developer to present the concept plan in as much detail as possible, and this can then essentially be the form with arriving at a fair and equitable payment for the memorandum of agreement, trying to provide a rational basis on the work that the project will require the town to perform. It's been tough to gauge for the final draft. That's kind of where we're at, is the final draft piece. We're determining what the right number is for us before finalizing an MOA, and a lot of that is contingent upon knowing a lot of the costs that are associated with it, et cetera. So we've talked about this in the past. We know what the floor is, but we were seeking additional costs because it's now 10 years later, and what those costs are. So that's still kind of at a holding pattern. I mean, I think the MOA as a whole is in good shape. It just comes down to the numbers going up, and particularly in what locations in the MOA document. So I think after they present, hopefully on the 1st, that's the plan, we'll have a better sense in a follow-up meeting with them to try to come up with a recommendation to the board on an MOA, which will have those figures as a whole.
Will we see that before it's, I mean, I know we'll vote on it, but will we see it?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Form, some point?
Yeah, I mean, there hasn't been a whole lot of change from what you've already seen as far as the marked up MOA, but it is in a holding pattern as far as the dollar increases, because that's kind of where we're stuck at right now. It says you owe the town $1 million gift. Well, is that the same $1 million today, type of thing?
Okay.
You say you're improving these intersections, but we want to. Determining whether some of that we want to make fully the responsibility of the developer, as opposed to the town taking that on, and them being able to do it cheaper and easier than the town could. So, that's the Parker Street. Like I said, as far as it's penciled in and tentative, there was one person on their end. I know John Witten is available, and he's planning to attend on the 1st. So as soon as we confirm with, I think, Angelo.
First with us.
What's that?
First with us.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
Are we going to have 3 meetings in March?
Yeah, I think we're going to need to do the last Tuesday.
Okay.
Just because of the timing with the warrant and articles. I think we need to have that last meeting.
Okay.
Which is what, the 20-something? 29th, yeah. 29th. Also that day, March 1st, is when Senator Eldridge and Representative Hogan are coming in to meet with the board as well, which is our next meeting.
Is it for budget issues? Or just...
Yeah, they reached out, they've been trying to get on a calendar for a couple of years to discuss budget stuff.
They have traditionally done an annual presentation to us about the legislative objectives for the year and their things that they're going to work on, and et cetera.
Their goals, see if the board has any items that they'd like to consider. I know Andrew and I have had conversations with Representative Hogan and her staff on stuff that, we could use her support on as the year goes on. But I think also they're looking to hear from, as a back and forth with the board, how they can help and what their goals are for the year. The Cultural District RFP is going out this week. They're looking to hire a marketing firm to initiate ideas that were embraced by the town during the past year or so regarding the downtown branding and cultural district designation. They're moving the application forward for the RFP, and they're hoping possibly that the initial costs will likely be funded by the, as a BEEP application for, with a sustainable multi-year budget as part of the deliverable for the chosen vendor. It's similar to what we've had a conversation even before we formed the Economic Development Committee about, we had in gentleman, what was his name, Eric?
Eric Wing.
Eric Wing, yeah. That discussed, kind of that early on stuff about branding and working with the cultural district, so. Andrew met with a developer, he's meeting with a developer actually this week, I believe tomorrow evening, to discuss opportunities in Maynard, including properties in the downtown that may be turning over, and there's some interest in developing and redeveloping in some areas. The Awashan plans with Open Table are currently on hold. It's awaiting owner's approval of, I mentioned before, the 2 land issues. The planning board meeting was never actually moved on. It was put on hold until they can really work out the legal issues between the 2 owners, that being Awashan Realty and the other gentleman. So it's nothing on Open Table's end, but they have to address those issues before the planning board can hear it. Andrew and Sarah Cressy from the Chamber of Commerce are meeting with Nexus Dental representative to plan a spring ribbon cutting for the Nexus Dental facility and do something for that location. And then just continue ongoing outreach and meeting with businesses in town and the downtown. I think Andrew, last week, he had a meeting with the new Charmed. We had an opportunity to stop in there.
Today.
Today, oh, that was today, okay. Yeah, with them today.
Looking for some frogs.
Yeah, they had a, Thursday, that's what it was, Thursday, they had I think it was Thursday's paper, they had something in the Beacon about opening, and so I was at another place in the downtown. Anything else you want to add to economic development?
No.
You guys aware of anything happening?
There's lots going on, Kevin. There's lots going on.
More than what I've said. Yeah, there's a lot of other pieces that are, continue to move and happen, obviously with Saracen development and some other parts of town that things are moving. Nothing affirmative at this point.
Nothing on the brew pub? We on track? They on track?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't see the deadline that they had originally said of April 1 being hit, but I haven't heard anything. They were dealing with some flooring issues, I know, but I don't think they've actually have, the site is all prepped, but they haven't started any construction activity yet, right?
They haven't pulled permits yet?
Yeah.
Just the demo stuff?
I don't know if the focus has been on the Waltham location or not, but the equipment's in, it's sitting in there.
They have a waffle maker?
Yeah.
Waffle maker's down at the street. That's pretty.
Updates, working with the finance team and having the finance director drafting some policies in line with the Mass Municipal Association best practices for future presentation to the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen. The LRTA, the Lowell Regional Transit Subcommittee, met and is recommending to their full board later this month that a disability rider rep should be come from Maynard. They're on a kind of a required by their charge to have a representative, a disability representative alternate communities, and based on the way it worked out, Maynard is next in line. So if the LRTA at their meeting adopts that recommendation of the subcommittee, then we'll be looking to fill a position as a town of Maynard representative on the LRTA board. So the LRTA group, Andrew continues to be a member of there. They meet once a month. It's always like 6:30 on a Thursday or something, right?
It's on my way home.
It's on his way home. Continues to be a valuable contributor to that group and help steer them in the right direction, and even on the subcommittee. So, yeah, we'll be looking for, if that all plays out the way we expect, we'll be looking for a Maynard resident to step up, in which I would recommend the individual to the board for their appointment for July 1. We've started negotiations with the Lyuna DPW and the Lyuna Professionals Union on a successor 3-year agreement. And we've also started negotiations with the AFSCME Custodial Union on a successor 3-year agreement, of which, Aaron McCloskey is sitting in on those as the AFSCME custodial supervisor of that union. They had the agreement they're coming off was essentially just a 1-year extension of their prior agreement, just until we could work out. It was sort of at the heel of Greg Lefter leaving and bringing Aaron on, and there was a lot of kind of uncertainty, so they settled on just a 1-year extension until things got in place. So now we're part of that negotiation team for the AFSCME custodial. The fire union and the NEPBA dispatches are in the final stages of agreement. There's been many delays, but there's still a lot of which has been somewhat of the availability of the union negotiators, more so on both of their teams, their union representatives, and getting meetings and getting contact from them. So we think we're close. We think we're done. Hopefully we're close. So we should see something hopefully soon to update the board on. We've been exploring for some time now, probably the last year, on looking at installation, and we've mentioned it briefly in the past, about a fiber ring to modernize the telecommunications between the town buildings with the fiber ring and covering the costs potentially out of the PEG capital funds. And we're also looking at exploring, we've been in conversations with Comcast and Verizon with exploring the issue of being able to be live on these meetings, the public meetings, televised live, and sharing of the fiber network that was put in and owned by Verizon. So that conversation continues. I think Andrew actually had another conversation with the Verizon rep today on that piece, and both of those are sort of two-part, but we've been talking about for some time the fiber ring installation, which will be a big piece. The other option from us actually installing a fiber ring was to essentially go on the existing fiber line that they had with this huge monthly fee and everything. It was like $3,000 a month or something. Forever, yeah.
What's the, Kevin, what's the fiber ring benefits to town hall? I mean, technology aside, I understand it, I don't want to get the details about technical, but what does it do for business for you guys? I mean, what benefit is that? I'm missing the need to even, besides the modernization factor, I understand that, but what will it deliver to the staff in terms of capabilities?
Currently we only have voice and data within town hall and the police department. That's shared. Everything else is sort of outside the network and has to peer in. Just for that benefit alone, it might be tough to justify the cost of building out the fiber ring. But when we look at how technology is changing and what we need to do tomorrow, what we predict we're going to need to do tomorrow, having that extra bandwidth around the town, we're confident we're going to be able to take much better advantage of it, as opposed to saying, oh, it's too bad we don't have the ability to broadcast like we can't from here now, only off of FiOS. When we control the ring, we control what we can do with it. I can give you a more complete list of things that municipalities are doing with their fiber across the Commonwealth, but even it impacts things like the SCADA work that DPW does on the water. All that stuff can be monitored and managed on fiber instead of paying a monthly bill to Verizon for an analog phone line. So communities see reduced costs moving forward after they implement these things.
I'd love to see a list. See, I'm all for technology advancing, but I'd like to see job changes that keep pace with technology as well. Right? We do a lot of things here analog and a lot of things manual that many communities and businesses do in much more efficient fashions. So if we're going to invest the time and the money into something like a fiber ring, then we should be prepared to write a plan down for how we're going to actually change the job descriptions and job functions for people that can take advantage of that. I mean, that's part of modernization. Not just the technology, it's the process and the people that have to follow along with that to make it any investment worthwhile. So
that's fair. I do have quite a bit of documentation from the work we've been doing to figure out how feasible this is. I'll get it summarized and get it off to you.
Love to look at it. Thanks.
Yeah, it initially started with conversation with Mark Manasian over a year ago, and the issue with broadcasting live, I think with Comcast and some of that, and we got into the discussion on the fiber ring and exploring that. We have had a few ongoing meetings with Doran Whittier, the architect that was hired for the fire station feasibility and initial design, and instructed them to begin the cost analysis. And hopefully we're expecting preliminary costing by the first week of March in advance of our March 14th joint presentation that Finance Committee is hosting and inviting the Board of Selectmen and the Planning Board. So at this point, they have confirmed that the March 14th date will work, and they're planned to have that as an agenda item for the March 14th Finance Committee meeting. Acton and Maynard are jointly applying for a grant for a pilot transportation program for a fixed route shuttle to Emerson Hospital area. It's Acton is the primary lead on this one as well. And Maynard's current COA van ridership is up more than 50%, about 450 to 500 riders per month in 2014 to an average of 675 for July through December of 15 of this past year, for a 6-month time period. Many of those riders are medical appointments to Concord, and the van, this basically when that happens, it keeps the van out of town and for several hours, limiting the ability to provide other van services locally. And this is another one of those areas where we've asked Representative Hogan for support to support initiatives in the House 1 budget around a fixed route shuttle type of opportunity. It's sort of an expansion on the Crosstown Connect sort of next piece of that we've been talking about for some time. We originally were part of a grant application for fixed route shuttle stuff that was actually, we didn't receive funding for. So this now, Doug Halley, I don't know if, well, David would have remembered, Doug was the former Director of Public Health for the town of Acton and was their transportation coordinator. He presented to the board when we first initiated the intermunicipal agreement on the Crosstown Connect. He has since retired. He's stayed on as a town of Acton employee, serving solely as their transportation coordinator for 2 days a week. So he's great at this stuff. He's very good when it comes to grants and programming, and I think, you know, with his focus solely on this this type of stuff, it's going to be good. He kind of always wore multiple hats while he was in Acton. He started their dial-a-ride program several years earlier, and so it's not something that he just kind of started doing. It's something that they've looked at expanding the regional piece of it, but it's something that Acton's been providing for some time now. So he is still behind that sort of management and leadership of the Crosstown Connect and the transportation piece of it. We have a new Department of Revenue representative who was in today. I met with the finance director, and be looking to meet. I think our rep, Andrew Nelson, has been given, there was a huge retirement that happened in the Department of Revenue, as with several agencies with the early retirement, and it created opportunity for our prior rep, which was Andrew Nelson, who we've had for several years now, to move up in a supervisory role. So we now have a new rep for this year. The Coolidge survey is hopefully going to be completed this week. You think it'll be done this week? Have you had?
No, I spoke to them today, and...
Next week?
End of the week, but by the
Okay.
time they...
Possibly by next
time they
week.
get it to us, it'll be next week.
And, we need to have that discussion as well, whether we're in a process for a warrant article.
Do you have an idea of how many people have responded so far
What's that?
to the survey?
No, it's a survey, a property survey.
The property survey, not...
Yeah, we've hired them to do the property survey, mark it out, and then also look at the feasibility of doing an A&R to split the property, where that property line may look.
Were you talking about putting something out to the public to get ideas on what people wanted to see happen with that property as well, or
No.
we're not gonna do that, or?
We had a committee that worked on that.
I know the committee, but when are we gonna do that?
Series of meetings.
Am I confusing that with something else?
I don't remember doing more than that.
No, I think the Coolidge Reuse Task Force did all of that pretty thoroughly.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, really, at this point, it's sort of in the board's hands. They've disbanded their ad hoc committee, and we need to make a decision, what we intend on doing. We do have 2 tenants in there paying rent temporarily, but ultimately, that's never been a final solution for the property, and if we're going to consider disposal, and particularly for spring, for an article, we need to have that conversation. We've been kind of holding off on it because we wanted to see how the survey played out and better understand the impact, because obviously, we want to be able to keep the playground piece of it. So seeing how that impact that would have on that based on the survey and the property delineation, certain number of feet off the building and setbacks, et cetera. So hopefully we can have that as a discussion for the first. The article itself, we can already have a draft written for the disposal piece of it, or even a draft RFP.
Yeah, I got a draft warrant article from Lisa Mead already.
Oh, you have? Okay.
And she's going to provide us with the historical preservation language as well.
Perfect.
So we'll have both preservation and...
It's in the same...
The warrant article doesn't need to dictate that, but the RFP would,
I got it.
in order to get what the town wants for best use.
The warrant article is really just for an RFP for something, doing...
Warrant article is to authorize...
Selling property.
Being able to sell the property. So we authorize the transfer from the school committee to the Board of Selectmen. We then need to authorize us to dispose of it. So.
The details of the sale, all those terms aren't part of the warrant article.
Right.
Just the permission from the town to actually sell it.
So when's the survey due?
Next week.
It was due this week, and that's why I called them this morning to see if it was on track, and sure enough, it wasn't.
So we think...
They promised it by next week. They said it'll be done this week and then finalized and off to us.
Yeah. It's warm weather.
Yeah, they blamed it on the snow. I don't know what they did the first 2 weeks when there was no snow. But.
Yeah. It's 55 this week. I don't have anything else there. Do you have anything more, Dad? That's it.
Okay. Chair report. I know, I have a note from Becky about the scholarship, the Selectmen scholarship. Who funds that?
The what?
Through the town?
What is it?
It's not through the town. It would be your generosity. So if anyone wants to throw in, and they like to receive at least $250. So if you don't want to do it, that's fine. In prior years, I think one year...
Did we do it last year?
We did, but it was not 200, well, we may have reached 250 with everybody's contributions, but not, if you took my contribution and multiplied it by 5, it wouldn't have reached $250.
I don't remember even seeing this last year.
They're adding
We've
up.
done it for the last probably 5 years or so.
Who picks the candidate?
They have a committee.
They have a committee.
Who's that?
But we asked that it goes to somebody who wants to go into
Scholarship.
government.
I think Mary
leadership,
Branley,
Something along those lines.
Mary Branley, I think, leads that
Mary
with,
Branley was at one point was the head of the, I think it's through the Maynard Education
Yeah,
Foundation. or
it
whatever.
is. And the guidance counselor, Renee, yeah.
We have a month to do it, so I guess we can figure that out as we go.
Okay.
I would suggest we take it out of the selectmen's budget, but
It keeps adding up. WAVM is Boys and Girls Club, and all these fundraisers, they add up.
just throwing it out there. Some poor kid might need it. Okay, can we get updates for the next meeting, or in the interim, on the legal updates for where we are with McDonald and all the rest of the people we're suing, and suing us and everything else like that? There's a few.
Yeah, in an executive session. Yeah,
No, we can do it there?
yeah, it's litigation,
Okay,
so,
all right, I'm just asking.
yeah.
What about in the CPC issues with the golf course? You know, we gotta,
Yeah, with regards to the
building?
conservation restriction piece,
Yeah?
is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get that as well.
It's in pretty good shape. We have that
Conversation.
survey done.
Yeah.
Used a different company for that.
Well, they've since closed but relocated. They had the plans from the original golf course purchase that we did. They were able to save money and time because they had the original copy of that, and they were able to just update it, right?
Yeah, they had the
New
whole
firm.
62 acres, and they just needed to do the piece that we're carving out of it. If we had hired a different company, they would have had to have done the whole thing in order to do a proper division.
Right.
Okay.
It looks like Bill Cranshaw is going to be the Housing Authority representative to the CPC. as well. Yeah, because David Hull has resigned. Bill was in today at the town clerk's office, so he's going to be the new liaison. I don't think have they voted yet, Housing Authority?
I thought they did, that's
They
why they
did
sent him.
formally, yeah, so he did get sworn in then.
He didn't get sworn
yeah,
in
we-
because they haven't created an appointment slip. They
Oh, okay.
were looking for us to do it.
So they voted and approved it, but they haven't done an appointment slip, because the appointment is the Housing Authority, is appointment, so he will be the new CPC liaison in place of David Hull.
Okay. And our budget is a $62,000 line item for the golf course. What are we paying $62,000 for?
That's in the capital plan. That's part of the estimated cost for capital for the golf course for next year. None of that is, approved for spending, and at least 40,000 of that, if approved, would come directly from the assessment to Sterling. This year, Sterling's paid us 52,000 and change, 12,000 more than the minimum.
I think that was just a capital need,
Okay.
Yeah.
but it's not budgeted for.
Okay.
Yeah, and they are planning to present to the board as well.
Yeah, we asked them, we kept putting them off because of different things going on with their schedules and ours. But we'll have them in here in early March.
Probably the second meeting from March, maybe.
We have a
I think it'll have to be,
Yeah,
based on what we talked about for the first already.
yeah.
Okay. That's it. And, board member reports. Jason?
None.
David?
Couple quick things. First off, we closed out the school issue at town meeting. So really, the town has no real ties to the high school any longer. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. The reason I ask is, I'm sure you heard, about the issue with the auditorium over there, and I don't know if the schools, for those who don't know, some panels apparently came off the walls or whatever.
Yeah.
Probably the warranty ran out the day before, but anyway, in all seriousness, I hope that the town can, whatever contacts we have still with the folks that we dealt with.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Aaron is managing that, and he's been dealing with that the whole time. He's been involved the whole time,
Yep.
so in return, we've been updated on it as well.
Good.
I think, just to that point, I think he did something late tonight regarding the high school auditorium. He sent me something this evening saying that he'll be meeting with CTA and TAP A. CTA is the GC and TAP A is the architect firm tomorrow to review the issues at the high school, and the repairs are scheduled to be completed Thursday and Friday by CTA's contractors. Following installation, they will re-inspect and plan on opening the auditorium for next Monday.
Good, they're on it.
So he's on that, yeah.
They're also inspecting similar panels that are not in the auditorium to make sure that they're attached and adhered properly. The only failures have been in the auditorium.
The other thing is actually another good news story. I happened to, this morning, be out early, and the conditions of the roads, I must say, I thought were excellent for Maynard. And I actually drove down, got to Four Acre Corner, or whatever it's called down there in Concord, into the small little store where they sell the newspaper, and there was a gentleman in there and goes, "You're from Maynard?" And he proceeded to tell me how he thought the roads in Maynard were in so much better condition than the roads in Concord as he was driving through. So kudos to the DPW for
Good to hear.
continued efforts at keeping the roads in good shape. That's all.
Tim?
Yeah, I don't know if one of you could put a bug in Bernie's ear about planning board member to the CPC. Still missing that one.
Bernie Sanders?
Bernie Sanders, yes.
The other Bernie.
The chair of our planning board.
Yeah, we will do that again.
CPC is reviewing final applications. We're in the second phase of that. The vote, I believe, on applications will be early March. So Bill will be joining at a great time to vote. Rec committee is starting up again. We have the minimum for quorum. There's still 2 open spots if anyone would like to join from the public. And that's all I have.
I did see an agenda for the first time in a while posted from them, so that's good.
Mr. Donovan?
Sure. Couple things. Kevin, what's the sidewalk plow route that we have? You know what I mean, with the machine, the Bombardier?
Yeah.
Do we have a defined route that this actually takes on a consistent basis when it snows?
Yeah, I think it's tied in with I have a whole plowing route plan, which also lays out the sidewalks as well.
Is Thompson Street part of that plan?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, because we had some...
Thompson Street's a primary sidewalk artery.
Good.
Yeah.
And I would assume that Sudbury Street is as well?
Yes.
All right.
Yes.
Cool. You guys are aware of the renovations that are going on at the Maynard Country Club?
Yes.
All right, they have pulled permits. I haven't seen any permit posts anyway. I was there twice now. I haven't seen any permits in the window or posted someplace. I don't know exactly where they have to be.
Aaron's in the middle of that. I will follow up with him, but that was absolutely the conversation we had with them before they started anything.
Okay.
So.
And then, Andrew, finish up with you some parking stuff. A, do we have an update on the amount of parking permits we've actually sold?
It's no different than the last report, I believe. Did you give it, was it 56?
56.
Last
Okay.
BOS meeting?
All right.
Yeah, might be in the minutes.
And I'm not sure if you share with Kevin, I had a dialogue with you last week and a weekend before. I went to one of the establishments behind River Street. I guess that's River Street going down there, right?
That's right.
Yeah.
And the gentleman who was working in the dry cleaner, who I go there on a weekly basis, complained to me and showed me all the cars that were coming from the Pleasant Cafe that were essentially taking all of his spots, including in front of his store, on both sides of his store, because they had something going on over there inside the PC. So he said it's not the first time, but this was the first time that I actually witnessed it. I happened to be there, and he had mentioned to me before. So I don't know if we could have some sort of contact with the owners of the PC and at least get a gentleman's agreement about what should happen there.
Yeah.
Because there is parking posted. I would hate to have a contentious relationship where they start to tow their patrons, because they can, when it comes down to it.
Yeah, we can talk with Frank.
So, I mean, this is part of a larger plan. We know we have issues with parking in the town, but he can't have his patrons taking every parking space for every other business, marked or not marked.
We'll reach out to both property owners and get back to you.
Great, thanks.
It's in the minutes as 56 passes.
All right. Thank you.
And, Mr. Chair, if there's nothing else I left off my report, but it's in the communication, just a reminder that I will be in Florida on vacation with the family.
Starting
and-
tomorrow.
Yes, and
Yeah.
Andrew will be here. Yeah. Got his mail, yeah.
I'm sorry to hear that, Ken.
It's so nice around here, I don't know why anybody would want to leave.
Yeah, and you'd think
50s, 60s?
Degrees out there.
You'd think with what's
Open
going
the
on, I
golf
just scheduled it, but it's been scheduled for a long time. It was 81 today, yeah, so look forward to it.
Yeah, I don't blame you.
Enjoy your trip.
Thank you.
Burned it.
Okay, so we need to vote as to whether or not we're going to go into executive session. All those, David?
See you.
Aye.
Talk to you.
Yeah.
Jason? Me, Terrence?
Yes.
Tim?
Aye.
Okay, since we have a majority, we're going to enter executive session, and we will not be coming out of executive session. And the executive session is to, I don't know, discussing discipline.
There's two, it's,
Well, one is strategy sessions in preparation for negotiations with non-union personnel.
correct.
And the other, I believe, is the possible discipline, dismissal, or complaint or charge against a public officer, employee, staff member, or individual.
Sure, yes.
Okay, so we'll close the regular meeting at 8:21 and enter executive session, after which we will not come out.